This is Winning Cures Everything. Here's your host, Gary Seegers.
Welcome in. It is Friday, April the 5th. This is Winning Cures Everything. I am your host, Gary Seegers. You can follow me on Twitter at GaryWCE. You can follow the show at Winning Cures or on Facebook, facebook.com/Winning Cures Everything. Let me go on and give you the rundown for today's show. We're going to discuss LSU and Will Wade possibly ending their standoff. We're going to talk about college football spring games. We're going to discuss a D3 school that is so good that their conference is debating whether or not to kick them out. And finally, I'm going to give you my final four picks for the weekend. I got 5 bets on it. It's only 2 games on Saturday, but I got 5 bets. The show, as always, brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use promo code WCE50, WCE50. You can get a 50% deposit bonus. So you put in $500, they're giving you $250 for free. You put in $100, they're giving you $50 for free, and so on and so on. They got the best online layout for a sports book. Go check it out for yourself. mybookie.ag. Use that promo code WCE50 when you sign up. You're going to love it, I promise. Let's jump into today's topics. Oh, by the way, subscribe on the podcast, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, etc. Leave some nice reviews for us, 5-star written reviews. We would really appreciate it. It helps us out. Subscribe on YouTube. Leave some comments there. I don't have it open yet, but I will actually right now so that we can get the chat going and I can actually see what everybody is saying. So we are live on that as well. But yeah, comment in. We'd love to hear what you think about the show, et cetera, et cetera. So, YouTube, podcast, Twitter, Facebook, the website, winningcureseverything.com. We are rocking and rolling. Let's jump into it. First one up, LSU and Will Wade ending their standoff. Ross Dellinger over at SI.com, he has written a really interesting piece, and you should go check it out. Will Wade has hired Chicago-based attorney Stephen Thompson. He also represents Arizona coach Sean Miller and Auburn coach Bruce Pearl, both of which are tied up in this mess, right? This whatever it is. It's a smart move by Will Wade. Absolutely a smart move. The attorney is spearheading a meeting between Wade, LSU, and NCAA officials. Yeah, I mean, this is a smart move. If you want to get reinstated, if you want to keep your job, this is the way that you have to do it. So he's going and he's knocking this thing out, and I'm interested in it, and I would love to see what's going to happen. F. King Alexander, the president of LSU, AD Joe Oliva, they have been blasted with messages from disgruntled fans, boosters, etc., that are talking about pulling their donation money. They're talking about how these guys need to be fired or they need to be resigned. They want their coach back. And I can understand it. But I also understand from LSU's side where, dude, you got caught on a tape talking about an offer for a player. What are we supposed to do? So I understand both sides. I have been on the side of let Will Wade coach, which honestly, had Wade hired Thompson back a month ago, he could have coached in the NCAA tournament. Easy enough, right? But, you know, I like that he's doing it. This whole situation could have been avoided had he just gone and not told them anything. Just meet with them, but don't tell them anything. And then my stance, as I've said before, is let him coach and dare the NCAA to do something. Your season is screwed anyway because you played smart. I've talked about this for weeks now. You have played smart all year. You're going to keep playing him. He played in the NCAA tournament. Every game that he is involved with, if there was something that happened behind the scenes to get him to come to Baton Rouge, then you're screwed anyway. So you may as well go on and do it. The whole thing's a little shaky. The craziest email, though, they did a Freedom of Information Act request. Mike Davis's agent. You know, Mike Davis used to be the head coach at Indiana, was the head coach at UAB, head coach at Texas Southern. He is the current head coach at Detroit. And his agent was expressing interest in the LSU job 90 minutes after the suspension was announced. He was sending emails to the AD and the president and everybody else. That's crazy stuff. Mike Davis must really want out of Detroit, or he just wants that payday that comes with being an SEC coach. Either way, you can't blame a guy for trying. Mike Davis, we love you. It'd be nice to see you back down here again. Let's talk about college football spring games. You can go over to fbschedules.com, lsufootball.net. There are 28 games this weekend between tonight, Friday night, and Saturday. Now, you are not going to be able to watch all of them, but there are plenty of them on for you to be able to watch. Tonight, you can watch the Duke game that is on like the ACC Network Extra or whatever it is. But here are the ones that I think that you should pay attention to if you want to get in on keeping up with college football. If you're just starved for football, this is what you get to do. So Clemson is on at 1:30 p.m. on ESPN2. That's Central Time tomorrow on Saturday. What does their defensive line look like? That's the biggest question, right? They lost everybody from that D-line. So you got to see what the defense looks like. You already know Trevor Lawrence, Justin Ross, that whole bunch. Etienne, the offense is going to be fine. It's the defense that you got to worry about because that defense set everything up for the offense last year. Look for that. Clemson on ESPN2 tomorrow. LSU, their game is at 1 p.m. on the SEC Network. After losing a lot in their back seven, you know, Greedy Williams, and they lost a lot in the secondary. They lost Devin White and a couple other linebackers and whatnot. How does their D look? How does that defense look in spring training right now? Now, obviously, a lot can change between now and the fall. Don't take any of these for anything other than what they are, which is a scrimmage. That's all you got to do. So, Clemson, LSU, next up, Ole Miss at 3 p.m. on the SEC Network. The Grove Bowl, what does the team look like with Rich Rod and Mike McIntyre? I think it's going to be completely different. There's no Jordan Ta'amu anymore. But Matt Corral or Matt Corral or however you're going to say his name, the quarterback, looked good in spots against Mississippi State. They only put up 3 points, but I think he could be a star player in the offense if Rich Rod really knows how to use him. So we'll see. This will be the first time without Phil Longo in the last couple of years. Curious to see what Ole Miss looks like. And then finally, Arkansas, 3 p.m. on ESPNU. New quarterbacks, Nick Starkel, Ben Hicks. Starkel coming from Texas A&M, Ben Hicks coming from SMU. He was a Chad Morris guy. Starkel's got 2 years left of eligibility. We'll see which one ends up maybe winning the job. I doubt that somebody's going to win it in the spring, but we will see. If one of these guys has already kind of taken over the locker room, you ought to be able to tell it in a game like this. So those are the games you need to pay attention to. You can find the TV schedules over at lsufootball.net or over at fbschedules.com. Both of them have the schedules up, what games are going on, et cetera, so you can pay attention to it. Let's talk about a school that is in danger of getting kicked out of their conference in Division III because they are too successful. Now, this story blew me away. It's at footballscoop.com. Minnesota Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, which is a 9-team Division III league, is considering kicking out the University of St. Thomas for being too dominant over the other league members. And I'm going to read a little bit of this to you so you get an idea of what's going on. They're called the Tommies. So the Tommies boast the most successful athletics department in the league. They finished with 650.25 points in the 2017-18 Learfield Directors Cup. The next closest school in that conference had 384.50, and the program's dominance is most evident in football, particularly since Glenn Caruso's 2008 hiring. St. Thomas is 118-19 in 11 seasons, including a 78-10 MIAC mark with 6 league championships. The tipping point, according to the Minnesota Star-Tribune, came over a 4-week period in 2017 when St. Thomas won 4 league games by a combined 297-20, bookended by an 84-0 win over Hamline and a 97-0 thumping of St. Olaf. Now, this past season, St. Thomas beat Hamline 68-0 and thrashed St. Olaf 60-0. They beat Carleton 68-0. And here's the deal: they didn't win the league championship last year. They went 6-2 in the MEAC, and they didn't win it. It's a little ridiculous. Here's the deal: there's no bylaw for MIAC schools to boot one of their members for being too successful. So the anti-Tommy members are considering adding a new enrollment limit for conference membership. To create leverage to boot St. Thomas, that faction is reportedly creating an us or them ultimatum, arguing that keeping St. Thomas would cause 4 of the league's smaller schools to find a new football conference. This is utterly ridiculous. This would be the SEC just closing up shop because Alabama's too good. This would be the ACC closing up shop because Clemson is too good. You are supposed to elevate your program to be able to compete. These things are cyclical. Like it rides like a pendulum, right? Like they'll be good for a little bit, then they'll be bad for a little bit. St. Thomas hasn't been great every single season forever, and obviously they got beat twice in conference last year. The fact that this is even a discussion is utterly ridiculous. I could not believe it when I read it. Go over to footballscoop.com, check that thing out. It's a really, really good article. Let me see who did it. Zach Barnett. Zach Barnett, hot tip to you. That was awesome. That's a good read. Finally, I'm going to give you my final 4 picks. Let's jump into it. Michigan State -2. I bought half a point back on that just so I don't get caught by the hook. Michigan State -2. I've got the under 133 in that game. Now, go shop for the lines because I've seen it at 132.5 some places, etc. If you got to buy a point to boost it up to 133, whatever. But I've got under 133 on that one. I got Virginia -4. I bought a point back on that one. It's currently sitting at -5. We're still sitting at like 77% of the tickets and 70% of the money on Auburn. They are begging people to take Auburn here. They want people taking Auburn. So I'm going to side with Vegas. I'm going to side with the books. I'm taking Virginia -4 here. I'm going over 130 on that. And then I've also got a 5-point teaser at +200 on those. So your teaser will end up getting you right now Michigan State +5.5 and the under 137.5 on that one. Virginia at a pick'em. And then over 126 for Auburn and Virginia. That pays out +200, like I said. As always, I'll have the picks up on the website. Go over to winningcureseverything.com. Go up to the navigation bar and click on Gambling Picks. I'll have those posted up there, all 5 of them before tomorrow. That way you can check them out, make your own decisions. If you want to bet it, that's the way that I'm rolling. I will have money on those down in Tunica. Yeah, so go to mybookie.ag, put in promo code WCE50. Go to the website, winningcureseverything.com. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify now. And we will see you again on Monday prepping for the national championship game. I cannot wait. It's going to be a fun weekend. Hope you enjoy the Final Four. We will see you guys again next week. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share out the show, leave a nice review, and make sure to comment and tweet at us.